Once upon a time, there lived two close friends named Amara and Oluchi. They had been best friends since they were children. They went to the same secondary school and even the same university. Oluchi was more beautiful and intelligent amongst the two friends. She had better grades at school and had all the attention from boys, while Amara was the plain and simple Maria Amaka amongst the duo. She was more reserved and liked to hide away from the crowd. Immediately after their graduation, Oluchi with her hot brains got a job with a tech company that paid her juicy monthly salaries and allowances. But that was not the case for Amara. She managed to graduate with fair grades from the university, although she studied even harder than Oluchi, but her results couldn't measure up. Amara got a job as a sales girl in a local supermarket close to their house. The two friends lived together in the same house, with the bills mostly paid by Oluchi because she earned more, and Amara earned peanuts from her job. But Amara augmented by doing all the house chores, even washing her best friend's clothes, car, and running menial errands for Oluchi. Amara didn't mind. She was grateful to have a good friend like Oluchi who accommodated and fed her for free. One day, while Amara was working at the supermarket, a handsome young man named Jide came to buy some groceries. After he was done picking the items, he went over to the counter where Amara was the cashier. He brought out his card to pay for the items, but the card got declined. "Sir, your card got declined," Amara said politely with a smile on her face. "Really? How? How can that be?" "Please try again," Jide said with a frown on his face. Amara tried debiting the card again, but it got declined. Jide was frustrated. "I really need these items. What do I do now? And I don't know anywhere around here to get cash," he said with frustration on his face. Amara sympathized with him and she offered to keep the items for him while he went back to get a working card. Jide was moved by that simple gesture. He took a closer look at Amara and she was beautiful but reserved. He had never seen a cashier that polite in his entire life before. That evening, he waited outside the supermarket for Amara, and after the close of work, he asked for her number, and she reluctantly gave him. And in a few weeks, they started a serious relationship. Amara discovered he was a rich man, and she couldn't believe her luck. One evening, Amara told her friend Oluchi about Jide and the weird circumstances they met. "Babe, there's this guy that I really like, and we have been going out for a while now. He's so handsome and rich, and he wants to marry me," Amara excitedly told her friend. "Hmm, I'm happy for you," Oluchi said with disinterest, as she was busy typing away at her phone screen, not even sparing Amara a second glance. A few months later, Jide proposed marriage to Amara, and she was overjoyed. She accepted without a second thought. That evening, when Oluchi returned from work, Amara prepared her favorite meal, and when they were done eating, she broke the news of her engagement to Oluchi. Oluchi nearly choked on the water she was drinking. "Were you in a relationship? With who?" she asked with surprise on her face. "Yes, I've been seeing Jide. I told you about him some months ago," Amara replied. "Who is Jide? I hope he's rich," Oluchi said. "Oluchi, money is not everything. And Jide is not broke. He's from a rich family. I've met his parents and siblings, and they are all well-to-do," Amara said, defending her man. "Eh? What's even his name, sef? Let me look him up on the internet to know if what you're saying is true." Amara innocently gave Oluchi Jide's social media handle without thinking anything to it. After all, she trusted her best friend. That night, Oluchi couldn't sleep. She was enraged with jealousy and bitterness. So this dirty girl that I give my used clothes is getting married before me. She opened her phone that night and searched for Jide on social media, and she was shocked to find out that he was indeed rich and he was handsome too. her spec. Bitterness clouded her mind. What even attracted her to himself? She's not beautiful, not intelligent. Jide should be mine, she said, gritting her teeth in rage. Over the next couple of days, Oluchi's behavior changed completely. She made Amara do all the house chores like a slave, but Amara didn't mind. She was used to it. Oluchi became more aggressive, shouting and insulting Amara at any chance she got. One evening, she called Amara into her room. Since your boyfriend is a rich man, why are you still squatting with me and doing your sales girl job? Oluchi said, spewing venom. Oluchi, because I'm dating a rich guy doesn't mean I should lose myself. He has offered for me to move in with him, but I refuse, at least till he pays my dowry. He offered me a job elsewhere, but where is my pride? I don't love him because of his money. I told him I would accept all these things when we get married. Amara replied, you're a big fool. Instead of you to grab everything with both hands, you are talking rubbish. What if another woman snatches him away from you? You will lose everything, Oluchi said with anger. Babe, calm down. God brought him my way, and if he is mine, no woman can take what God has given me, Oluchi replied. For the next couple of days, Oluchi lost her peace entirely. Things got worse when her mother called her from the village to tell her that Amara's family was preparing for the wedding in the village. Your friend is getting married. I heard that the boy is from a rich family. So I was thinking, why my own daughter, who is even more beautiful and successful in the city, was here to catch a man? Abi, you are possessed? Do I need to conduct deliverance on your head? Mrs. Ede, Amara's mother, said over the phone. Mama, since I haven't caught any man, will I kill myself? Is it my fault that good men are not coming my way? Oluchi replied with tears streaming down her face. Oh yes, it is your fault. Oh. Maybe you should ask your friend Amara to teach you how to catch a rich man. Don't disgrace me in this village. Oh. You better bring a man home, Mrs. Ede said. Oluchi hung up the call and she bursted into tears. Why me? I should be the one marrying Jide. He's my dream man, she said, crying bitterly. The wedding day drew closer, and Amara had to go to the village to put finishing touches to the wedding preparation in anticipation of her big day. When she got to the village, her wedding was the talk of the entire town. Her name was on everyone's lips. Her parents had boasted to the entire village that Jide was a rich man, and everybody congratulated Amara and her family. The wedding day arrived and Amara woke up with a strong headache. At first, she thought maybe it was just stress. She told her mother she had a strong headache and her mother advised her to relax. But after some minutes, Amara started feeling feverish. She complained to her mother, Mama, all my body hurts. My head hurts. It feels like my body is on fire, Amara said, shivering on the bed. Worry clouded her mother's face. She rushed out to call her father and they both came inside Amara's room. My daughter, how are you feeling? What kind of fever is this on your wedding day? Should we call the village doctor? Just as they were still talking, Amara started convulsing on the bed. Her eyes rolled back into her skull. Her hands twisted in a strange angle. Her mouth contorted. Fear gripped her parents and they screamed out in terror. By this time, Jide and his family had arrived and guests from the village and the city had started arriving, waiting for the bride and her family. But Mr. and Mrs. Okoli tried to resuscitate their daughter, but all their efforts were futile. By this time, the entire family was in chaos, and there was already a large gathering of guests waiting outside. They rushed Amara to the village hospital through the back door. When they got to the hospital, the doctor ran some tests on Amara, but they found nothing. Mr. and Mrs. Okoli, your daughter is in perfect condition. There's nothing wrong with her from a medical standpoint, the doctor said. Doctor, Does she look fine to you? She was fine last night when we all went to bed. Please help us. Today is our wedding day. Our husband and other guests are already waiting at our house," Mrs. Okoli said, crying bitterly. The doctor only shook his head. "Well, I have done all I can for her. Maybe you should take her to the city, to a bigger medical facility for treatment." Mrs. Okoli collapsed on the floor, wailing, while Mr. Okoli stood in shock as tears threatened to fall. This was a big blow indeed in their family. Back at the Okoli's compound, hours passed and the bride and her family were nowhere in sight. Jide's family were getting impatient. His parents had invited top dignitaries from the city, and they couldn't afford this kind of disgrace that was on the way. "Jide, what is the meaning of this? This is 4 p.m. already, and we still haven't seen the bride you want to marry, let alone her family. Do you take this as a joke? Do you want to disgrace me in front of my friends and business associates?" Jide's father said with anger. "Dad, please calm down. I don't know what is going on, but I'm sure there's an explanation," Jide said, trying to placate his already angry father. Just as they were still talking, if you are still watching this video up to this point, please support us by smashing the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. Like this video and leave a comment down below. Thank you. Love you. Mr. Okoli, Amara's father, walked into the gathering with his eyes red from unshed tears. Jide rushed to meet him to ask what was going on, and Mr. Okoli dropped the bombshell. "My daughter was rushed to the hospital this morning. She suddenly collapsed and started convulsing. The doctors don't know what is wrong with her. Please tell your family to go home. We are sorry for this mess," he said with tears threatening to fall. Jide's words crumbled. "What happened? Was she sick? I want to see my wife," he said with tears streaming down his face. He explained the situation to his family, and they stormed out in anger. And soon, all the guests left one by one. Amara was taken to the hospital in the city, and after a series of tests done, they couldn't find anything wrong with her. But her condition got worse every day. She became very thin, and her hair started falling off, and she was in excruciating pain. Jide was by her side, despite his family's objection. His father had threatened to disown him, but he loved Amara so much, and he would never abandon her. He took her from one hospital in the city to another, but they couldn't find help. All they said was nothing was wrong with Amara. Weeks passed and the situation didn't improve. Mr. and Mrs. Okoli had a serious conversation with Jide one afternoon at the hospital. "My son, you have done enough already. You are a good son indeed. But you should return to your family. This matter is no longer a hospital matter. We need to go spiritual," they said. "Spiritual? What do you mean, Papa?" Jide asked. "Our pastor has asked us to discharge her and bring her to the church for prayer," Mr. Okoli replied with sadness on his face. "Papa, I don't think that's a good idea. It's not advisable to move her around." Jide tried to explain, but Mr. and Mrs. Okoli had made up their mind. They have had enough of hospitals. The next day, they discharged Amara and moved her to church. Jide was still by her side. When the pastor saw her, he shook his head. "It is not every good thing that is happening to you that you share with people. Not everybody is happy that you are happy," the pastor said. The pastor told Mr. and Mrs. Okoli that Amara was given juice to drink in her dream, and that was where she was afflicted. "Yes," Amara replied weakly. "I remember that Oluchi gave me juice to drink, and I drank it in that dream." Her parents exclaimed loudly. "How could she do this wicked thing?" they said, crying bitterly. "We all trusted her and we loved her as our own daughter. How could she harm our daughter this way on our wedding day?" But what the pastor said shocked them to their bones. Oluchi is not responsible for what happened to your daughter, although she has a jealous spirit in her, but she didn't do this. Your daughter was afflicted by a wicked woman in your village who took on the face of Oluchi to approach her in her dreams. Your big mouth brought this on your daughter. You announced her to the witches and wizards in the village. That is why you should be prayerful and careful with who you share your good news with. The pastor prayed for Amara and anointed her. He also administered the Holy Communion to her, and he told her parents to take her home and observe fasting and prayer for 7 days. He gave them anointing oil and communion to administer to Amara every day. A few weeks later, Amara started recovering. Jide never left her side all through the whole ordeal, and Amara was grateful to be blessed with such a good man. A few months later, Amara became fully healed. She and Jide got married with just their immediate family and friends in attendance. Amara got wiser, not to live life by chance, but by prayer and careful choice of words. Her parents learnt their lesson not to reveal their children's success to anybody. Whenever anyone asked Amara about her life or marriage, she kept it simple and straightforward, not revealing anything. She remained friends with Oluchi but kept her at a distance. She never shared her secrets with her. Amara was grateful at her second chance at life, and she cherished it with all her might. The moral of this story is that it's not every good thing happening in your life that you share with your friend or your colleague or your neighbor. Sometimes it's best to just keep your mouth shut and keep that secret or that good news to yourself, because it is not everybody that is happy that you are happy. Thank you for watching, and if you are still here up to this point, please subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment on where you're watching from in the comment section below. And until I bring another juicy and interesting story your way again, bye for now.